This is Coach Keita Bussey with 180 Firearms Training Podcast, joined today with Grant Chancellor Madison from South Africa and Mike Seifert from New Jersey. Mike, you want to talk about our show sponsor?
Yeah, no, I just want to say if you guys are in the market for a new PCC, check out DaVinci Machining. Their DG9 is the most reliable PCC on the market. Yeah, DaVinciMachining.com. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. And today our guest is Scott Greene. Scott, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, that sort of thing.
Hey, Scott Greene. I shoot every gun I can get my hands on. So I shoot a lot of 3-gun, a lot of USPSA, some IPSC when I can, PCC matches, 2-gun matches, and basically anything I can travel to, I'm going to, try to shoot.
Nice. So we haven't had a 3-gunner on the show yet. So since you've shot 3-gun, USPSA, and IPSC, and Grant shoots IPSC, obviously, Mike has shot one IPSC match, but mostly shoots PCC in USPSA.
I shot 3-gun when I first started also. So, I mean, I got a little bit of 3-gun experience. There's just too many goddamn targets out there for me to remember. So.
All right. So what's your favorite out of all the different kinds? I know they all have different flavors, but what do you like, dislike, compare and contrast a little bit? Tell us about it.
Well, they all have different challenges and different, aspects to them. 3 guns is 3 times the fun is the general attitude. More guns equals more fun, but it's just a different style. I would consider a 3-gun more drag racing. IPSC would be like Formula 1 racing, and USPSA I would consider to be more like a circuit race, but not quite Formula 1, something like that, where 3 guns just let it go crazy, shoot everything as fast as you can. Hits don't matter as much. So it's basically based on all speed.
Okay. Were you at that rifle world shoot, or was that in Sweden?
Yep.
Okay. Where you shot like straight up in the air?
I did. Yep. We did do that one. Yeah.
That is
yeah. Tell us about that.
Everyone remembers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, they had it on a tank range, I believe, like a tank military range that you shoot tanks on. So they didn't have to worry about anything back behind the range, because for miles behind the range, it's just more range.
Except hippies.
Somewhere further, towards Norway, I guess. I don't know.
So what happened was there were a bunch of hippies like hanging out in the woods, and they were worried these guys were going to get shot. Did you hear about this?
I didn't hear about that.
Okay, so they actually had to wrangle up these hippies and get them to move so they wouldn't get shot.
Sounds like the RO that sits on the line for the 180, like he's just looking to get hit. No reason to be there.
So you didn't notice a delay in the match or anything because of that?
No, I didn't notice anything. I didn't hear anything about hippies. No, it's funny.
In all fairness, I did know a few people from A5 that didn't hear about what happened, and they were there. So I guess when you're shooting a match, you're just shooting the match. I guess you're kind of focused, and maybe it's from the outside looking in, it's a little easier to tell that because you're on social media. But when you're actually shooting, you're not really doing any of that on your phone. So maybe that's why they miss it when they're there.
So how did you do in that match?
I took 12th in open.
Okay.
Did not have a very solid match. I actually zeroed a stage for the first time since I've started shooting in a major match.
Ouch.
That was rough. But yeah, it was a learning experience for sure.
Didn't Tim Yackley win his division?
He did not. He was, I believe, what was it, 9th or somewhere around there. Maybe it was 7th. Might have been 7th or 5th or something like that.
Still, that's very, very good in the world. As he was a kid. I think he's not a kid technically anymore, but
yeah, he's no longer a junior, but he's still, a fantastic shooter all around.
Yeah, he lives about 3 hours from my house.
Oh, nice.
I'm like right in between Josh Freilich and Tim Yackley.
It's a good little area.
Right.
Good shooting spot. Yeah. What kind of guns are you running in 3-gun? What's your what's your shotgun? What's your rifle? What all that?
So everything I shoot comes from Limcat. Limcat races out Vepr 12s. Not so much anymore because the market for Vepr 12s they're hard to come by, the actual the stock gun. Then I'll shoot a full-on frame-mounted open gun. and then a rifle raced out by Limcat as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you shooting major power factor in the open gun, or are you shooting minor with very light springs?
I do shoot major, but that's only because I shoot so much USPSA, and the recoil impulse between major and minor in that gun is something that is quite noticeable for me. So I don't want to have any inconsistencies and think the gun's malfunctioning with my light load when it's actually totally fine. So I'll just keep it consistent and shoot major through everything.
Right. So when you're preparing for a match with a rifle in it, you do something a little bit different in your practice sessions than most people do. Can you tell us about how you practice?
I'm not exactly sure what you're leading towards.
Well, for one thing, you only shoot about 50 rounds.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll do a little bit of dry fire with whatever firearm I haven't practiced with recently, just to make sure the manipulations are still there. And then I'll go to the range. I'll check 0, and maybe I'll shoot a box, maybe, just to get the impulse back in my memory. That's about it. Yeah.
Another interesting thing is, well, maybe this has changed since we last talked about it, but do you own a timer?
Nope, still don't own a timer. Still don't own one.
So how's that working for you?
It's about how it feels anyway. You know, it's not about what if it feels good, then it's going to be fast. You know that. So
yeah, I can watch videos and see where I am or am not losing time, and a timer would be nice just for the reaction to have something to react to. That'd be great, but I still don't own one, and I at this point I'm kind of dedicated to not having one.
Well, when you don't use a timer, that makes you focus more on doing everything perfectly instead of trying to rush it to beat the timer, right?
Oh, don't get me wrong, I could still rush it to not beat the timer. But
well, and you also kind of know the fastest you can hit a target. So can you tell us about sort of the cadence you have in your head?
yeah, so I do have an idea of the cadence that I should be having based on target size and what gun I'm shooting and what distance. But that's just come with experience, shooting so many different guns all the time. It's hard to keep them all in the same. That's why I will shoot, a box of ammo to get the impulse down again. But it is a lot about just recalling previous times you've shot that gun and remembering how the gun reacts, and then just picturing that in your head a lot.
So you know what it should sound like if you are shooting basically perfectly. So if you're seeing the minimum amount you need to see on a target, it should sound like this.
Mm-hmm. I do have that cadence in my head, but again, like you mentioned, it does have to have a visual aspect. So if I see it wrong, then the timing is going to get messed up in my head also. But I do have an idea of what it should sound like for every target I'm going to shoot on whatever stage it is.
Yeah, so it's not that, okay, this is what the cadence should sound like, I'm going to do that. It's if I do things perfectly, it will sound like this. So
Yeah,
if you see something differently, then obviously you're going to make adjustments for it.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Does your cadence change after you just watch somebody crush a match or crush a stage? Like, all right, well, now I gotta step it up a little bit here.
No, because luckily I've shot enough with Leo Grandis that I know I can't do those splits, so I'm not going to even try to.
See, being realistic, Grant. I agree. I like to be realistic with my expectations also. I wasn't going into that. It's like, oh, I'm going to go crush Leo Grandis. Like, I'm going to see how close I can get to Leo Grandis. But yeah.
So tell us about your process for zeroing your firearms, because that's interesting too.
Well, I do zero my PCC different than most people. Well, at least who I've talked to, I zero my PCC at 17 yards, because 90% of what I shoot is between 10 and 25 yards. So I'm just right there in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have to shoot something at 50, I know my hold, it's only a couple inches low, but for 90% of the targets I'm shooting, I have a zero that's going to work for almost all of them.
And that's something interesting you do in practice as well. When you're dry firing, you're practicing your hold for various distances.
Yep. So I'll simulate like a 50-yard plate, and I'll know I have to hold a couple inches low on it, stuff like that. And up close targets, we all have We all know we have to hold high for the height over bore axis. Same as an open frame, an open gun. It's no different. Just gotta mix in a low hold with the high holds. That's all.
And being able to switch gears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I changed to a 25 now. So I used to run even a lower one. I used to run a 10 for the same kind of principle. I was like, well, everything's from 5 to 15. So I got to hold a little low on something out there, but I didn't really do enough work with that in order to like kind of really like know what my holds were on a 4-inch blade at like 35 and 40. Like, it was significantly low. Like it was more than you would think you'd have to hold low. And I'm like, all right. So then I just changed to a 25 and I've been running that ever since, just holding high and everything. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
So you do things very differently in practice than most people. I would venture to guess that you're probably self-taught. Is that true, or am I totally off base?
You're spot on. I did shoot some Olympic style 10 meter 22 stuff in high school, but that was basically just how to prep a trigger, because again, it's a high school shooting team. No one took it that seriously. But yeah, then after that, I just taught myself, trial and error, watching videos, seeing why someone else is faster than me at the time, and then going out at the range when I used to practice a lot more and trying out different things that they were doing.
So how long have you been shooting?
I think I just hit 7 years now.
Nice.
Okay.
Yep.
So what is the most interesting place you've traveled to shoot?
The Philippines, I think, is one of my favorites for sure. Indonesia was a lot of fun as well.
Did you go to Bali?
No, I was in a business town of Surabaya. That was my first international match, but the reason why that sticks out in my head, it was my first international match, first time leaving the country, and they sent us on this parade before the match.
Yeah.
Where we all were in Jeeps and we drove like a 10-mile circuit around the town, and people had lined the streets, and it was this whole experience that really made me kind of fall in love with international shooting in the first place.
Yeah, IPSC is very different. Usually before a major match, there's some sort of a parade. Everyone's got their jerseys on. There's a flag for each country, and somebody on the team carries the flag and a sign saying what country they're from. And they shut down the streets and you parade through the streets. Sounds like you had a little different experience driving around in Jeeps. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I've
awesome.
I've done some parades and stuff. I haven't shot a whole lot of IPSC, but I probably shot, I don't know, 5 or 6 matches now internationally. And they all have a parade. They're great, but something about that first one where it was literally miles just driving around with Jeeps and flags and people lining the streets that set the tempo for my love of that game.
My favorite part of the opening ceremony in the Philippines where we did the parade was New Zealand. You want to tell us about that?
You go ahead. I can't remember it well. I remember a lot. I don't remember that well from that one.
Okay, so the New Zealand team went out into this massive field, and they had this whole routine orchestrated where they're like yelling and stomping and doing all these dance moves.
Oh, the
like,
haka.
Is that what it's called?
It's called the haka, yeah.
I mean, I knew it was a thing. I've seen it on TV or whatever, but never seen it in person. It's like their warrior call sort of thing too.
Yeah, like the rugby guys and the soccer guys, they all do that before a major match or anything.
It was so cool to watch that. And then we had fireworks, and there was like a drone show where they had all these drones that lit up and flew in different formations to make like a light show.
Oh, you're talking about the Australasia match.
Yes.
Oh, I wasn't at that one.
Oh, shoot. That's why you don't remember. I was thinking you were at that one. No, you were at the previous year.
The Olympics, yeah. The
Yes.
Pittsburgh Olympics, yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun match.
It was.
So what was your favorite thing about the Philippines?
Oh, the atmosphere, I think, and the food.
Oh yeah, the food.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
The food seems sketchy.
were-
I don't know. That's interesting that you said the food. I feel like I would, I don't know. I'd be nervous to eat anything over there.
Well,
There
we
is
had
only-
JJ cooking steaks for us. JJ
Oh,
was
okay.
cooking
All right.
steak and lobster.
All right, that's different. I thought you were just like going to visit the local restaurants. Like, oh man, that's probably not gonna be good on match morning. But
No, we did do that. We did do that, but I did abstain from trying the balut, which is the fertilized duck egg.
Yeah,
If you want to, I avoided that one, but
I actually ate like 5 of them because I
Did
was
you
really
really?
hungry.
oh wow.
That was when I went, I actually went to a different match after the fact.
Mhm.
So I was on the range, hadn't eaten all day, and all they had was blood. So I ate like 5 of them because I was starving. And sometimes you get a little piece of duck beak or feather or something like that because it is a fertilized egg.
That's gross.
That's disgusting.
No.
Anyway,
I'll take a cheeseburger and French fries, please. Do they have that there? Yeah.
They have Jollibee.
They do. They have spaghetti, fast food spaghetti. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, Jollibee has burgers and all that kind of stuff, but everything comes with rice.
Yeah. So I got a question. I mean, so going back to shooting a little bit, kind of getting off topic, but not really. So you took second place at PCC Nats this year. What are your plans or your goals for next year? Are you going to be, has this second place in the PCC Nats kind of like lit a fire into you? You're going to do more USPSA, or you're still just going to kind of stick on the same schedule and then come back and dominate USPSA, shoot 3-gun all year?
I'm going to try to shoot a bunch of everything. I wouldn't say it lit the fire again. The fire's still been there the whole time, but just finding the time to focus on a specific gun for a long period of time isn't really an option when I'm trying to shoot 4 different guns.
Right.
And now I'm going to have a 5th gun. I'm going to try to shoot some AK matches next year as well. So
it sounds like fun. I wanted to do that. I was talking to Tony Martin at Nationals actually, and he's like, "Oh, you got to come down and shoot an AK match." And I'm like, "I would love to do that. I just don't. I don't know. I kind of sold all my guns. I went the other way from you, so I now only really have my PCC and my my backup, and that's like all I shoot. So I can only afford to focus on one gun. I couldn't afford all 4.
I was fortunate enough to get to borrow someone's raced out Galil to shoot at that AK match, and it was
that's awesome.
That was a whole different experience. That's a whole atmosphere. That's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys are in full-on costumes, panda suits with battle axes and chest rigs. And
are you talking about the Red October match?
Yes, Red October.
Okay, that looked awesome. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, that was a riot. It's more of a show and like a party than shooting. But there is shooting mixed in. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So what's your kind of sorry. So what's your kind of like when you look at like the matches you shot in the Philippines, Australasia, and all of that, and you come to USPSA, what are your kind of takeaways of the differences between the two?
Accuracy is much more heavily emphasized in IPSC, for sure, as well as position to position movement, as opposed. I find myself in IPSC matches shooting between 2 to 4 rounds in a position and moving another 10 yards to shoot 2 to 4 rounds, and then so on and so forth. Not to oversimplify it, but it seems there's more of a emphasis on getting into and out of position more than having chances to shoot on the move. Typically, the way we do in USPSA matches.
Yeah, there's more posting up, and you kind of have to because of the target difficulty.
Indeed. Yep, definitely.
Interesting.
So what did you think about having a caddy? Did you have a caddy?
I had 2.
That sounds awesome. I heard about this. This sounds like a fantastic thing.
Well, I know this sounds like a terrible thing.
It was amazing.
No,
so I had a caddy to carry all my bags and load mags, and I had
don't come load my mags. Go away.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I was hesitant at first, but when I'm having to reload them every 5 seconds or every 5 minutes because you have a little fast pass to go through stages, it got pretty old. Then I had an assistant, and the assistant had a runner to go and get the things the assistant decided that I needed. So if I needed water, I'd tell the assistant, and she would send somebody to go get the water and come back with the water and give it to me.
That's next level. I've never had that. Yeah. Never had that.
So before you came, I think it was the year before that, when it was just JJ and Jamie and I and our group. We asked for water, and they brought us these orange sodas. And we're like, "Oh, thanks," because we're all thirsty. So we start chugging them and just start like shaking. It was basically like meth in a bottle, and we had no idea what it was. So don't drink something that's not water sealed that you don't know what it is, because yeah, there was something in there.
But did you put down 11 splits after that?
Right.
No, what I did
It's like
was,
taking Adderall, man. You know, those things are great.
so right after that, we had an unloaded start, and my gun was unloaded with the magazine seated. I picked it up and racked it, but my hands were just moving so fast. I racked it 2 times and sent a round flying out, and nobody even saw my hands move. And I was like, I need that.
You're on that next level.
Because it was like an 11-round stage and I had 11 rounds.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
That sounds like what I needed.
Everything was slow motion. Yeah. I was tripping on Cobra, whatever that was.
Some Cobra whiskey.
So yeah, I had 5 assistants, a driver, and like 3 bodyguards. It was just crazy. Insane.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And I went with my video camera on my phone and went, so you are here with me. What is your job? I am to assist Miss Kita. What is your job? I am here to assist Miss Kita. All right.
That's next level. See, and they say that we're so pampered in America, you know, I don't know. I feel like we're lucky if we get lunch at a match. You know, normally, you know, it's like, hey, thanks for your match fee. Go have fun and don't cause any problems. And then that's it. You got assistants over here. You got parades with Jeeps through the streets. I mean, geez.
Yes, we got these
I don't want someone loading my mags. Don't come near my mags.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, how would you feel? Like, if somebody loaded your mags and like loaded one backwards, like, you know, like what would you?
Or you shoot in production and they load 17 in.
That's gonna seriously affect their tip, I think. But I mean, you know, like Scott, how would you feel if that, like, the guy that loaded your mags ruined your match?
So I would feel awful, but the same caddy that was loading my mags is the same caddy that Johnny from Limcat has been using for a decade. So it's the same exact person. Every time he goes back, he has the same guy do the same job. So I was pretty confident in that. It's
like professional golf caddies. Like, they use my Uber.
Well, they look forward to it. They can't wait till he's back for a match, because that's you know, they're gonna make their yearly salary that week just on tips.
Right.
Yeah.
They support their whole family just from helping that one match.
Mm-hmm.
So the first year I was there, somebody was loading my mags for me and loaded 6 rounds into one of my mags instead of 10. So I ended up with a standing reload. I still remember the guy's name. His name was Carlos. The next day, he was nowhere to be found. And I was like, where's Carlos? And they're like, he's gone now. Ooh.
Gone from the match, or gone?
I don't know.
Depending on where you shoot, you know, it may be gone forever. Yeah.
And another year, I was shooting PCC, and the caddy cleans the gun the night before, but they're used to cleaning ARs. So he didn't realize, like, he has to put a spring on the firing pin, all that stuff, and left it out. So
on the PCC, gotcha.
On the PCC. So I go to shoot my very first stage with the PCC. It goes click, click, click. JJ just starts laughing. He's like, Kita, there's no firing pin. Switch to your shotgun.
That's awful. That's awful. No. Like, what a waste of time. You know, I don't know. That's how I feel about that. I would be so pissed. You know, and that's why I would do it myself. And it'd be nice to have a caddy to say, hey, go get me some water, go do like any of the things that might not potentially ruin my entire match. Like, I would definitely not let him
carry my bag, please.
And I would definitely not let him do anything that had to do something like that, or clean my gun, especially, because, like, if that's going to mess up, I want that to be on me. I don't want that to be on them. And because I would.
And now I check everything.
Right.
I still use the caddies, but I check everything myself.
Yeah, I don't know. I still, like, to me, just clean your own gun and load your own mags, and then you got no excuse when something goes wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Well, usually you can't have your gun.
Yeah, I don't know. If I paid for the match, I'd be mad. If I paid to get there, if my sponsor paid for everything to get there, and then one of the guys blew it, I'd feel really, really bad for my sponsor. So, like, I don't think, you know, regardless of who's paying anything, whether you get there for free or not, I still think that would be a huge disappointment just because of the time spent in order to get to that place. You know, it's not like you're
for sure
the corner. So I don't know. Caddies, they seem nice, but I'll just take guys that are going to pace. I'll take that. You know, if we're going to pace and I don't have to reset, I'm happy with that. I'll load my own mags and clean my own gun. But if there's people on the range that are there and they can reset for me, that'd be dynamite.
Pace and pick up brass, although you guys don't pick up brass. But anyway.
Yeah, no, we do not. No, but we can't find primers, and you can. So, you know, that. How are you doing? How are you doing on them primers, Scott? You got
I actually quit loading like this last year or two.
Shooting federal now?
No, I'm just shooting whatever factory ammo I can get my hands on.
Got it.
Yep.
Why is that? Strictly for saving time, or is that just factory ammo has come a long way in your eyes and like that it works fine? Or
oh no, I'm still shooting like just factory whatever. It doesn't really matter. I prefer a certain load, sure, but the time spent loading is not. It's better spent elsewhere for me.
Well, if you're loading rifle and handgun and shotgun and all of that stuff, I can understand. Like we're just loading handguns, so it's one caliber, whatever.
right.
If you're loading all of those, that's a lot of time and a lot of effort.
That's partially why I quit 3-gun, man. It was too much ammo, and I like to just a day at the range, especially now. It's like a $500 day. By the time you're done shooting 223 and your shotgun and all that, like I can't physically afford to do that. And then then you got to come home and you got to clean 3 guns too. And it's like, well,
yeah, that's rough. That's a rough.
So I just I like, and then remembering all those targets. So that's kind of what turned me off of 3-gun is like all of it it was easier to do USPSA because I could focus on one gun and then one ammo and less stuff to worry about for me. That's
okay, but on all the targets, I do want to ask you. Okay, you might know a guy who's called Jerry Mitchell, and he has a YouTube channel. So I've watched a few of his videos, and some of those stages really get very intricate. So how do you look at that stage? How do you prepare for something like that?
Yeah, you can basically break it down to a certain state. If you want to, well, it depends. If it's like a jungle run, it's much easier. Since you have like a section for each gun along a path, you can just break it up into like 3 mini stages that create one giant stage. But if it's a giant stage with everything intertwined and you have back and forth between the stage multiple times, then that requires some planning. Normally, you go the day before and you walk stages. And when I mean walk stages, I don't mean like USPSA or IPSC style where you look at it. Well, you can't IPSC, but you walk it. Yeah, you walk it for like five to 10 minutes in USPSA. Well, for 3-gun, we walk a stage for 45 minutes if it requires work. And we'll walk each stage for 45 minutes. So we go a full day early and spend the entire day walking stages, taking notes.
You're still allowed to take video, right?
We're allowed to take video for that stuff, yes. Oh. So you can record your plan, go home and memorize it overnight.
Wow.
That's what I do for you.
Yeah, that wouldn't work in IPSC. Like get 5 minutes to walk a whole 200-round jungle run. That wouldn't work.
No, that's my problem is like, like you said, you break it down into kind of like each gun. So like each gun is its own stage. And then, but my problem is I would dump my first gun and then I forgot my next two. Like I was really good at the first gun, but after that, it was like mine went blank. So like, I couldn't handle that. But yeah.
I feel like 3-gun has a totally different environment of shooters from USPSA, where it's just fun.
Yeah,
there's not so much pressure.
It's still competitive. Don't get me wrong, but it's much more of a we're all here to help you beat the stage, if you want to have a way to say it. So a lot of matches, coaching is allowed. So if you have trouble hitting long range, someone will tell you where you're missing, give you some corrections. And if like, say you run out of ammo, you'll have guys running up behind you, handing you their mags full of ammo to finish the stage, which you would never, ever see that in USPSA or IPSC.
No, never.
Yeah. So it's this whole community behind it that kind of makes it what it is. It's something special.
It really is. Yeah. It's kind of like how you were describing the AK match as being almost like a party.
Mm-hmm.
For me, coming from USPSA, 2-3-gun, that's kind of how it felt for me a little bit. But yeah, yes, sure. They do still take it seriously.
I can see
still
that.
A competition.
Yeah.
It's much easier to kind of jump into it from the outside and find a place where you fit. Where in USPSA, I think sometimes we kind of eat our young.
Yeah, which is why I see a lot of 3-gunners who don't go into like USPSA. A lot of them leave. Or once they go to a USPSA match, they have complaints about, oh, they're so uptight, this and that. It's because they came from the atmosphere where people are handing you things to finish a stage, as opposed to, having an actual set rule book that people can quote from.
Yeah,
so.
totally.
And we do quote from it. Don't you worry.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of I mean, I'll help anybody out on a range at all. You know, like if their mag doesn't work, I'll give them my backup mag or anything like that. But I mean, I feel like a lot of people are just nervous that they're going to get a penalty or something like that in USPSA. So
You
it's
will
not
get a
quite,
penalty
it's not quite
if you
IDPA,
help.
but like, yeah, like, I mean, you might say the one wrong thing and then you got a fee. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
There's
definitely
a
a
lot
little
of
more uptight, but it is what it is.
There's a lot of silly rules. Well, there are rules. Every rule has a reason, and I get that. But there are some that there should be, like, you can't touch your dot. You can't turn your dot on and off outside of the safety area or the make ready command and stuff like that. Like, if I can grab my gun out of the berm, I should be able to push the one button to turn it on real quick.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it's considered manipulating the gun. Yada yada. You get into we can go into the woods with that. But
I think the best way I ever heard the rule book described is they always add them, but nothing ever gets taken out. So like it never is simplified or consolidated, and you know it's getting to be a super long book with you know it's pretty hard to find specific rules, and you know one can sound like another one, and they can have completely different ways to apply the penalty. So it's like, well, now how do you just interpret it? So it's a little confusing. It'd be nice if that was more streamlined, but
So
yeah.
what are some differences in the rules between USPSA slash IPSC versus 3-gun?
They all have the general same basic rules, but that's where the 3-gun ends. So, you know, don't point at anybody, don't break the 180. ADs, they're all generally the same across the board. But where it starts differing is, so say in 3-gun, often you're not like in a bay, you're just in a field. And so there's no like safety table. So if you just want to point your gun away from everybody, like your pistol and whatnot, just, okay, take it out of your bag, put it in your holster, play with it, just face a general safe way. Because there's no, you know, there's no safety area, there's no berm to point into. And a lot of USPSA shooters will lose their mind when someone's just playing with their gun over there and, you know, next to you. A lot of that will happen.
Yeah, they just go to their truck and have it all sitting like on the back end of the truck with the tailgate open.
Yep.
Or go in their car, grab their gun, stick it in their holster. That's normal in 3-gun.
Oh yeah, like even my local range here, we consider our trunk is like a safety area for 3-gun.
Right.
So you can preload your shotguns in the trunk of your car. You can put your pistol on and off in the trunk of your car. Well, if it's in a hole, it's a whole different thing. Anyway, yeah. So that kind of thing is popular for 3-gun. What other main rules are there that are different?
Number of shots on targets.
Yeah, no, the way it's scored is different for sure. You know?
Yeah, definitely. So time plus, there's no hit factor. Well, there are some matches that can do it. But yeah, either 1 alpha or 2 anywhere on paper is all you need to score. And that generally
you use USPSA targets. I thought you use like the squares with the circle in them. So it's either like 1 in the middle or 1 or 2 on the paper.
So it depends on the match. If you're shooting a UML, United Multi-Gun League match under the United States United Shooting Sports Leagues, there's so many acronyms. Anyway, one specific league has its own target that they came out with that you probably saw. It's the hexagon with a smaller hex inside of it and a smaller hex inside of that. That is a much smaller alpha zone, but it's still going to be 1 alpha or 2 anywhere on that. A lot of matches will just use, you know, USPSA cardboard or even IPSC cardboard.
Is there anybody that just shoots 1, or is everybody just hosing 2 on each one? Because I mean, to me, it seems like you're really got to be shot calling and slowing down in order to get that 1 in the middle.
It depends on round count and capacity for whatever gun and array you might be shooting. I have seen arrays where they'll put, you know, 12 targets, or 12 or 13 or 14 pistol targets like in a row. And in that scenario, if you're not shooting an open gun, you know, you have a 140 mag, you're going to want to have a couple alphas in there mixed in.
Something interesting I saw on jungle runs with open targets, like if you've got a whole bunch of open targets all in a row along the path, most guys will just shoot it one-handed as they're running by.
Some guys do. Yeah, some people do. You better be confident with that. Yeah. Well, I've had the opportunity and I still wouldn't do that. There's too many things that could go wrong with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I didn't do it either, and I was the weird one for keeping 2 hands on the gun.
Yeah, I mean, you're not really gonna gain anything by doing that. You get style points though. You get a lot of style points for that.
Good on the ground.
Yeah.
Right.
But you know, that stuff happens a lot. But
Yeah, And
Sounds
another
like guys
thing is
having fun sometimes.
Yeah.
when you hit the steel, they say hit, where in USPSA, IPSC, they don't do that.
We have a
Falls
lot of
down usually.
Yeah, we have a lot of static targets, usually at distance, to avoid having to reset. Put a more challenging target out, and then we'll just call hits on it instead of having to go out there and reset it. That's pretty popular. Typically, one of my favorite quotes for the shotgun is every target in 3-gun for a shotgun either breaks, falls over, or makes noise. And so that's a pretty fun thing to do instead of just shooting that paper. But
Yeah, or there's like a little flash.
Yep. So we have I don't know if it's actually battery powered or if it's just like
those Magneto things.
Yeah, the Magneto Flash.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah. So you can see very clearly long range targets when they're hit. You get a nice flash of color, as opposed to having the old style tilting flasher backers and relying on an RO to call a hit, which is sometimes frustrating.
And you also have your guns preloaded, set up on a table, ready to go.
Yep, either slung on your person, in a barrel, on a table, on a prop. They could make you do whatever they want to do, but generally, yeah, it's on a table or in a bucket somewhere.
So
Okay, so you're not on the long range targets though. Everyone's shooting at them. So they obviously started out white at the start of the day, and then obviously when you get there, they're pretty much black.
A lot of major, don't they
All the
paint them in
hits.
between squads? Like, doesn't somebody like take a quad down there and do that?
It depends. So if it's up a mountain, you're probably not gonna get new paint, except between days.
Got it.
If it's just in the back of a field and you have an ATV, sure, they'll probably do it between squads. But I shoot a lot of my 3-gun, or I have in the past in Vegas when they put targets up a mountainside and there's no real way to get up there. So you'll get painted targets once in the mornings. That's all you'll get.
So be the first shooter. Got it.
And try to schedule yourself so the sun sets behind them and are coming up behind you instead of behind the targets at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's smart.
So-
See, that's a piece of advice that people could take away from this for sure.
Yeah.
Again, that goes back to
at
picking
that
your
SWAT
squad.
range?
Yeah. And that takes range knowledge
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. But having a nice lit long range target is super nice as opposed to having the sun setting behind them when you're having a hard time. Yeah.
What do you think it was that brought you to the point where you can really be competitive on a world level or even a national level? What drove you?
Probably just being stubborn and not liking to lose, I guess.
You've always been very motivated.
Yeah. I've got an addictive personality, so when I pick something up, I want to do it and I want to do it well. And if I don't do it well, I'm not the kind of guy to quit and find something else. I'm going to try to power through and get better at it. And then, building relationships and rivalries throughout that process is always fun. And it puts some extra motivation. Instead of just trying to get better myself, I want to pick somebody who's also getting better. And then kind of like Josh and myself, how we chase each other around the world and the country, shooting various matches.
So you would say Josh is your guy to beat?
I would say he's my main rival. I don't know if I'd say rival. We're friends, but we do chase each other around. And
yeah, that's what it's about, though. You guys got to push each other. That's the only way to get better. So, because if Josh doesn't have anybody to push him, then he gets stale. If you don't have anybody to push you, you get stale. And then it just turns into monotony. And then
Well, he just took a lot of time off. Well, he's back into it now, but he took some time off to do some building and do some hunting and things like that. So he had to kind of get back into it.
I think he took up my my winter routine where I've been taking off between November and December and January the last couple of years, and I finally talked him into it a year or two ago. And now he's got his new property and he's doing the whole farming thing, so he's got a whole lot going on.
Yeah.
So why do you do that? Is that just to take like a mental break and kind of like reset for the next season?
Yeah, for sure. So when I first got into it, like I said, I have an addictive personality. I went kind of hard. And so from my very first match ever, I didn't take a single weekend off for 4 years. I shot every weekend a match for 4 years. And that started to get exhausting. So I took the winter off, came back fresh, and I loved how I felt coming back in. I was remotivated and I felt rested. So I've been doing that the last 3 or 4 years now.
It's actually a scientifically proven technique called spacing.
Nah.
So basically, when you take that time off, it's letting you recover, recuperate, but everything you had been working on is then put into your long-term memory instead of your short-term memory, which means it becomes subconscious. And that's why when you pick up the gun again for the first time after a break, you think, oh, this is going to be really bad. And then you actually shoot and you're like, huh, I really didn't lose all that much. And after a few rounds, you're right back in it, right where you left off.
That's funny because that's about the same time that I started getting, highly competitive and, winning majors and stuff like that was around the same time I took that winter off before.
Yeah, then you get reinvigorated.
Okay.
Interesting.
So Scott, I'm assuming you've had matches like this where you come back like completely deflated, you didn't do well, or you lost or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you power through that? What's your mental process powering through something like that?
Shoot next weekend.
Yeah, basically it's I don't want to say I don't think about it, but I try to forget completely about the entire experience and just start fresh and go again from there. Because I know that was not if I had a bad match, I know it's not a representation of how I shoot on a normal level. And I have had those matches and I just don't think about them. And then I'll just pretend it never happened. I'll go out there pretending, I'm here to win this next one. And I'm just going to do that.
Yeah.
Sure, in the off season, I'll think about it, about what went wrong and why. But in the current moment during the season, I'm not going to think about it at all.
Yeah, that's exactly the way I think about it too. It is what it is. There's always another match. So I mean, you're not all
next weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Each one's a brand new day.
Right.
So something else with the spacing. I did write an article for On Target Africa, the magazine in South Africa, called Don't Quit, Take a Break. That talks about exactly what you were saying. When you're starting to get burned out, maybe your training schedule is too intense and you need to back off a little bit. But if you incorporate these breaks, a lot of guys will take off for 2 weeks after matches or something like that. And that's exactly why, so you don't burn out. You want to prevent that burnout. But throughout the season, something you can do is have spacing by, I'm not going to practice this one thing right now, but during that space, you can insert something else, maybe something you are excited about. So just because you're taking a break, having some space doesn't mean you're not doing anything at all. So that's called interleaving, when you insert something else into that space. And spacing and interleaving actually is proven to decrease the amount of time it takes you to learn a new skill by 50%.
So you're telling me to take time off to get better? Well, it seems like the opposite.
Take time off of a skill to get better.
Right.
I guess.
And then insert something else into that spot.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like I naturally shoot a little less during the winter around here because I know you probably live up by Wisconsin also, Scott. So it gets real cold and it's kind of crappy to go out and shoot. But I would love to be somewhere that was warm that I could shoot like all year, like Arizona,
like South Africa.
Yeah, no, not with all those gun laws that we've been talking about over this podcast for the last few weeks. I don't think so, boy. That's worse than New Jersey,
Pretty much, yeah.
Where are you at, Scott?
I'm actually just outside of Reno, Nevada. But yes, people think Reno is close to Vegas when it's not. It's like 7-8 hours difference.
So you're shooting with like Marco and Max and all those guys?
No. Well,
no?
I see them often, yes,
Got
but not that much because it's still a pretty hefty drive to get down there. But it does get cold here. We have a very wide range. It goes from 110 in the summer to negative. It can go negative in the winter.
Yep.
And we do get a lot of snow because we're just 45 minutes from Tahoe. So yeah, we're up here. Yeah, we're up here at 5,000 feet, so we get dumped on pretty good sometimes. And it does get too cold a lot to shoot. And when I'm shooting in the cold, I don't feel like I'm getting any better, which is part of why taking a break started helping.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, see, my problem is like this year I got signed up already for in January. I got a match in Florida, and then in February I have a match in Puerto Rico that we're doing now with the Da Vinci guys, and I'm Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford, like, I feel like I have to kind of get out there at least once or twice a month there's a couple locals that still run all year long. Most of them shut down for the winter time, but as long as there's not like a foot of snow on the ground, they're out there, whether it's 0 degrees or 100 degrees. So
yeah,
I feel like, with January and February coming up and they're for the Da Vinci guys, and I feel like I got to do something, so I don't know, like, I just hate, like, how do you feel about dry fire practice versus like just going to shoot matches? Like, to me, like, I like going to just shoot matches because I feel like you get more out of it. It's like going when you go play golf and you're going to the driving range and you hit 1,000 balls, or do you want to go play 2 rounds of golf? Like, I'd rather go play 2 rounds of golf because I just feel like, being there and being on the timer and all that kind of stuff, I feel like it's better practice. But
100%. I have the same mindset.
Yeah, so just shoot matches, right? So I mean, yeah. So the problem is it's just hard in the wintertime. But maybe I'll have to get something going with like a little dry fire or something. But
see if you can find an indoor range, something like that.
Yeah, the problem being in Jersey, like for me to go to PA, it's like an hour ride for something that's $100 a year, and then in Jersey, like in a nice indoor range where I can go for 24 hours, that's not crappy. It's like $600 for the year. It's like it's very, very, very pricey around here to shoot, so it's difficult. Like one day my plan is to get out of here and do something that's like I said, I like to go down south, like where I can potentially shoot for 12 months a year.
Yeah.
And then just never really shuts off. I feel like that would be better for me because I always feel like coming out of wintertime, like I don't shoot nearly as much. I feel like I'm definitely a little rusty when I come out. Nothing feels as sharp. And I feel like I kind of like, I go 4 steps forward during the season and I take 2 back during the winter. So I feel like it kind of messes my progression up a little bit.
Yeah, still progress.
Yeah, I guess. Well, especially like this past year with COVID, I didn't shoot for 6 months. Like I shot 100 rounds in the 6-month period and 60 of those rounds were the Tuesday before Area 6. And I'm like, I came out at Area 6 and I just felt, I felt like it was almost like my first time. Obviously, I know what I'm doing with the gun and all that kind of stuff, but like I'm just not used to any of that recoil or anything like that. So yeah, definitely, maybe that freaked me out a little bit, not being able to get ammo for a while. But yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like now I just got some primers. I feel like I'm going to shoot as much as I can this off season. Because I don't know if taking off would be good for me, just based on the last couple of years now or last year.
It's all personal, it's going to be an individual thing.
Yeah, it's annoying though that you can just take off for 3 months, 4 months, and then come out and still rock it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's just the difference. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking forward. I can't wait for next year. I definitely disappointed myself in nationals, and I'm got to get, you shot with Harrington, right? You were on the same squad. So that's my guy around my area that I got to beat, right?
Oh, that's right. Gotcha.
Yeah. So he's a great lefty shooter. And I hate that he's a lefty because he, all those left hard leans are not hard for him. But yeah, hoping to be a little more competitive against Harrington. He's up from, I think, New Hampshire or Massachusetts, and then hopefully shoot with you guys on the super squad at nationals. That's my goal for next year.
Yeah, he's a guy I hadn't met before, and
he does not on social media. I yell, I'm like, dude, nobody knows who you are. I'm like you're like one of the best shooters in the country, and nobody knows you. And he has a YouTube, but like his YouTube is like BDH or something like that. Doesn't even say his name. And then he just made a what did he do? He made an Instagram not too long ago. He's like, I hate this already, and I'm like, I'm like, you got to get your name out there a little bit. But yeah, I mean, he's a great shooter. He's a really nice dude too. So
yeah,
that's my guy. And I know when we shoot Area 8, Area 5, Area 7, he's the guy that I'm looking to beat. So yeah,
that's good. Yep.
Scott, you want to tell us about all your sponsors?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So Lemcat Custom, obviously all the guns I shoot and all the matches I go to are made by Lemcat. Everyone on the shotgun, the rifles, the pistols, the PCCs, all done by them. Vortex optics on top of all my guns. Every gun that has an optic has at least one Vortex optic on it. CMC triggers in my guns, LAG tactical for all my Kydex needs. Lucas Oil, shootsteel.com for all steel targets. Warren scope mounts for all those optics as well. Yeah, and that should do it.
What are you doing for work right now?
So I work full-time for LAG Tactical, the Kydex manufacturer. I manage their pro staff, and I coordinate all the sponsorships they do. And then that's mostly what I do. Yeah, now it's just work for them and then shoot on the side.
All right. And did you recently get married?
I did. Actually, it'll be 1 year in 8 days. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Don't forget it.
Yeah.
Your
I was
wife
like-
was my little buddy in the Philippines.
Oh,
She's
for sure.
adorable.
Yeah. She's out there doing homework right now. Yeah.
She's awesome.
I'm nervous about getting married. I guess I don't know. I'm nervous about getting married. I feel like it's just gonna ruin my my shooting schedule. So.
You know the difference between
Priorities. I'm married
well,
to shooting.
That's what she says. Yeah, she says my priorities are messed up, and I say maybe.
life is literally no different after getting married. It's the exact thing it was before.
I don't know.
Because
I've
you
seen
got a
guys
good
that-
one.
Yeah, I guess.
Guys get married, then they have the kids, and then they bring the kids to the range, and the kids pick up all the brass, patch all the targets, load all the mags. It doesn't seem like a bad idea.
You get little free laborers, huh? Little free caddies. Yeah.
Child labor, nothing wrong with that. You know, builds character.
That's right.
So is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to bring up on the show?
So if you're interested in shooting 3-gun or any multi-gun event, you don't have to worry about having all the gear. If you just go to a match, I guarantee someone there's going to loan you all the gear you need to come play, which is another great thing about the community. So yeah, just find a match, find a guy who goes, see if he's got an extra gun, and if not, I'm sure he'll give you the belt off himself to put on you to go play as well.
Yeah,
If
and
not,
they
call
don't,
Scott. Scott will give you his guns.
I will give you my guns, and it will probably be a very expensive phone call once you like the guns. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's I like Corey K always said that, you know, and he's like letting you try out JPs. He's like, the first hit's always free. So,
That's
you know.
right. That's right.
I like that.
yeah, and if they don't have the extra ammo with them right now, just because of the ammo shortage, if you just show up, maybe they'll have a few rounds you can play around with just to try different guns, and then you can make plans where they tell you what ammo to buy, and then you can borrow their guns for the next time.
Yeah, 100%. And you don't have to think of it as, oh, okay, I have to buy, $10,000 worth of gear and optics and guns and belts and bags and all this other crap. You don't need to start out with that. No, you probably already got a rifle of some kind. You've got a pistol. Most people do. Go shoot a 2-gun match. Go shoot one of those and see if that tickles your fancy. And if it does, maybe go shoot a shotgun with some friends. And if you like that idea, maybe try to find a 3-gun with some shotgun mixed in and go play with that. And just work your way up. You don't have to jump in all at once.
Yeah.
But you
You
should.
don't have to buy $10,000 worth of guns.
Don't get me wrong. Like I'll hook you. Like if you guys need some guns, call me, I'll
$10,000
hook
worth
you
of
up.
ammo.
Yeah.
Look,
You
I
guys
know
need-
people that the first thing they ever shot was 3-gun, and that's just like kind of how they started. And I'm
Mhm.
like, well, I mean, I don't know how you can get, better from there. There's not a competition. You're going to shoot more guns. So that's why I started in IDPA. I thought that was cool, and then graduated to USPSA, and then went to 3-gun. And, I thought that was a good progression. But yeah, I think the people that I give a lot of credit to the people that just jump into 3-gun right away. And they're like, all right, what do I need? And it's like, wow, your list is pretty long here.
Yeah.
Well, and Johnny made you some really nice guns. He's sort of like an artist, a savant. I don't know. He kind of goes into his own headspace and stays up all night working on these guns.
Yeah, he's a different character for sure.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
very
look, the
interesting
guy from the Da
process.
Vinci, the Da Vinci guy's the exact same way. I think these guys, they're just really passionate about what they're doing, and they're especially, I don't know the other guy, but especially the Da Vinci guy, he's super OCD, and he'll I've heard stories, he'll literally just sit there and spend hours on one thing that's like nothing more. I mean, not necessarily, but he just wants it to be so perfect, and it's like, okay, at some point you kind of got to make something. But yeah, I respect guys that do it that way. So the Limcat guys like that. I mean, I know Da Vinci guys like that. Like, it's just, if you're going to take it that seriously, I will gladly shoot your gun. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like if you're going to take it that seriously, it's not just something you're throwing together to throw out and
For
try
sure.
to sell as many as you can. You actually care about it.
Mhm.
And, it definitely makes a difference. You
Johnny's
see it,
like
man.
an artistic genius.
Yeah, he's definitely different. He's got different. Not everyone loves his taste, but it's definitely unique for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a cool
Yeah,
dude.
it's sort of like the Dissident guys. I mean, I love the Dissident shotguns, but I've never seen the Dissident PCCs until I went to shoot in Aruba with Marco. Definitely a
yeah.
completely different gun. Like it feels
Mhm.
different. Everything about it is different. But man, Marco was throwing some doubles that were like that far apart, and he was throwing some nice splits. And I'm like, like interesting. Just there's so much stuff out there that unless you're like in the industry, I guess it's hard to say that you've seen every single thing. Like I'm sure there's still some PCC companies I've never even heard of that are out there.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
Marco actually outruns the timer. He splits faster than a tenth of a second.
Is that what it picks up? I thought it would pick up anything. I picked up a .04 on like when you soft shoulder one and you get the little burst fire, So I
I
mean, it's
suppose it
picked up
depends
there.
on what kind of timer you're using.
And what sensitivity you have it set to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait
Yep.
to get that shooter globals timer. I think that's going to be a pretty cool addition to doing what we're doing. But yeah.
It was Robert Caesar was on our last show. He was talking about the timer in his shop where you set it up for dry fire and you just turn it on and it goes and it gives
Was that
you
the guy?
time to.
Did he make that timer or did he sells that timer?
He had it designed.
That's his design. Oh, great. See, so like I guess
I
missed that
believe
part.
that's what he was saying is that he
But yeah,
designed it.
I mean, I'm pumped to get his timer then if that's the one he made. I like that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Scott, for coming on. We
Happy to be
appreciate it.
here. Yeah.
Yeah,
These
thanks for
hours
coming
just
on, man.
fly by.
Yeah, it's a problem.
You gonna be at
In the
PCC
zone
Nats
again.
in Colorado next year? You're gonna definitely do that.
I'll probably be there for sure. I'm not for sure, but I'm 90% I'll be there.
Any East Coast USPSA matches you're planning on?
I don't know. I'm tempted to go back to Alabama again for what do they have down there now? It's going to be single stack is down there, and
I think low cap. Right?
Yeah, it is.
So it's like revolver, single stack, limited 10, maybe.
and there's something else down there, isn't there? Oh no, I'll be going to North Carolina. I'm sorry, or South Carolina, one of the Carolinas for multi-gun nationals next year for
Got
sure.
it. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then
Cool.
I'll see you at nationals then for sure. So
Awesome.
yeah. But looking forward to that, man. And
Yeah.
if I don't see you before then, or I'll talk to you, hopefully you stay healthy and good luck in the next season.
And same to you as well, man. Looking
Yeah,
forward to
thanks.
it.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming on.
Awesome, Scott. Nice meeting you.
You too,
Have a
Grant.
Thanks, Keita. Thanks, Grant. It's good talking to y'all. Love y'all.
Later.
Cheers, guys.
See you next week.